we'll add Counselor Disorder when she shows up. Okay, I'm Philip Elmer. I'm going to call this meeting of the Economic Development Committee to order. This meeting is being recorded by the EDC. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify the chairperson at this time.
Bill, I just want to point out, you have
Yep.
13 people in the waiting room, so you're going to have to let them in manually.
Oh, Doug, can you see them?
I did. I saw them, but I did not see a way to get them in the room.
If you want to make me a co-host, I can let them in. Now there's 15.
Yeah, I lost my host powers. Who's the city council? Are you city council?
Yeah, let me see if I can do it.
Are you the host?
Okay, let me do it.
Okay, good.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Is Counselor Disorder among those people?
I am.
You are.
here.
Okay. Let me
Phew.
start again. I'm going to start again. It's 6:01. I'm calling this meeting of the Economic Development Committee to order. This meeting is being recorded by the Economic Development Committee. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify the chairperson at this time. Hearing none, in accordance with MGL-C 30A SS 20G, no person may address a meeting of the public body without permission of the chair, and all persons shall, at the request of the chair, be silent. No person shall disrupt the proceedings of a meeting of a public body. If, after clear warning from the chair, a person continues to disrupt the proceedings, the chair may order the person to withdraw from the meeting, and if the person does not withdraw, the chair may authorize a constable or other officer to remove the person from the meeting. Well, this is new, scary language. I'm now going to do the roll call. If I can find it. I'm Counselor Elmer and I'm here. Counselor Bullock?
I'm here. It won't let me change my name though. Only the host can do that in our new Zoom thing. So my name is going to be East Coast Partnerships. I apologize.
I can fix it for you. Just give me a sec.
Thank you.
Okay, continuing. Counselor Disorder?
I'm here.
Counselor Healy?
Here.
Counselor Mayo?
Here.
Excellent. Okay. We have 2 months of meetings to approve. Can I hear a motion to approve them?
So moved, Disorder.
Second, Mayo.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's have a voice vote. All in favor of approving the 2 months minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Excellent, thank you. Any abstain? Any objections? Any noes? Okay, passed. No public hearing. The first item in our agenda is a motion, a proposed zoning amendment for marijuana cultivation facilities, yada, yada, on page 8. This motion is, this language is the language that came from the neighbors and the abutters. They've withdrawn this motion and have suggested something else. And there's also been, it's also been superseded by some language from the planning board, which it's my mistake, it didn't get on the agenda. So I would entertain a motion to table this, but if there's any discussion first, let's do that. Anybody want to talk about this? Anybody want to make a motion to table it?
I would move to table this.
Do we have a second? I didn't hear it. Second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Doug. All in favor of tabling, raise your hands, say aye.
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 Any abstained? Any opposed? Okay, that's passed. Moving on.
But I do have a question on that though.
Okay, go ahead, Doug.
It says in many of the emails that almost every single email that I received on this today, it said that it requested that we do an ordinance, which we don't have an ordinance before us on this issue. So do we need to have A&O have an ordinance written up and have that go to A&O before we proceed?
My understanding is that the language that Councillor Forgy suggested is what they want. And we actually, I've mailed out to you, the clerk's office mailed out to you all some amendments to that language, which we're going to get to later on. To answer your, I don't know the answer to that question. Councillor Disorder, can we propose language, or do we have to go through A&O?
No, it does not need to go through A&O. This is the place where the zoning changes run through. So we're going to be taking that up in a little bit after we get through a couple of other things. I believe it's later on in the agenda.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions about that?
None.
Okay. Next up for discussion, potential sale of land portion parcel 124-53 Summer Street on page 118 of the agenda. That's several pages long and includes some pictures. It really confused me, this F-shaped piece there and then the rectangle that they wanted. But I did call the planning board, and Eric Torog explained that the F-shaped thing that you see in the picture is the remains of kind of a ghost road that was never built and can probably never be built because there's wetlands there. And the new owner wanted to buy the piece of it that abuts his land, and the mayor is proposing that we do that. She would have to put, if we're okay with it, she would have to put it out for auction, and then probably the buyer would buy it. But we can discuss it and decide whether we wanted to forward it with a negative or positive or recommendation. So any discussion? Go ahead.
Councilor Elmer, I'm in favor of that. Somebody wants to buy it and we own it. It sounds like a good thing for, that sounds like a win-win to me.
I'm always looking for the thing that's come out and bite us that we don't in one of these things, but I didn't see it, and Eric didn't see it. It seemed like pretty straightforward. So I would entertain a motion that we, I guess we should vote on whether we want to send a positive recommendation or a negative recommendation. Anybody want to make a motion that we?
I would make that motion.
That we send a positive recommendation?
Send a positive recommendation.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none. Let's take a quick voice vote. All in favor of sending it forward with a positive recommendation, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'm
So
gonna
moved.
abstain.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Councillor
yeah,
Elmer,
go ahead.
I'm going to abstain. I just don't know enough to make a judgment on this.
Fair enough. There were several pages of language and it was hard to make sense of. I'm going on Eric's word there. Okay, parking and bike lanes on Main Street. I think we have enough on our plate, and we haven't invited the people that we want to invite. Perhaps we can take that up next month. I'm proposing that we move on. Okay, tier changes in regards to marijuana cultivation, page 127. What you'll see on page 127 is the language suggested by Councillor Forgy. There's also some extra language that came in over the transom, which I discussed with Councillor Forgy today, and she's happy with that. Has everybody seen it? the thing that I mailed out today? I'm seeing some nodding of yes.
Let me double check. I've seen so many emails today.
Right.
When did you mail?
It looks like a friendly amendment that just precedes the language that Councilor Forgy put forward with some, you know, I don't know what to call it, legal gobbledygook.
Okay. All right.
Legal zoning language.
Legal zoning language. Thank you, Councilor Forgy. Does someone want to read it in the new form so that we'll have it on the record? And okay, Ginny, go ahead.
Okay. Greenfield marijuana zoning amendments. I would move pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 94G, Section 3 of MGL, in order to impose reasonable safeguards on the operation of outdoor marijuana cultivations and to restrict the licensed cultivation, processing, and manufacturing of marijuana that is a public nuisance. The city of Greenfield hereby makes the following amendments to its zoning ordinance. 1, Section 200-4.2, Rural Residential District, RC, Section C, uses by special permit is hereby amended by adding the following new section, 22. Marijuana cultivation limited to Tier 1, 5,000 square feet pursuant to 200-7.17. 2. 200-7.17, marijuana establishment is hereby further amended by adding at the end of section B, 4, the following new language. A marijuana outdoor cultivation is limited to Tier 1, 5,000 square feet per license. No person or entity having direct or indirect control shall be granted or hold more than 3 licenses in a particular class. The maximum outdoor canopy permissible under all licenses at a single property address is 15,000 square feet.
Okay, just to put this in context, is that the form of a motion?
I did say I move at the beginning.
Yeah, do we have a
So-
second for that motion?
Mayo.
Okay, let's discuss it. As I was going to say, the history of this is Tier 1 was approved some years ago, and there were complaints from farmers that they couldn't make enough money that way, and it was the city council increased it to Tier 11, so it went from 5,000 square feet to 100,000 square feet. If I can speak for some of us here, it felt like we opened up a door and they drove a truck through it. The proposal that they build 3 Tier 11s in near 100 plus residential houses just created a huge problem, a lot of public pushback, and you know, all the millions of letters, not millions, the dozens of letters we've received. It seemed to me that going back to what we had before was perhaps the most efficient way to put some curbs on this. And it seems like seemed to me a reasonable step to take in response to the complaints of our constituents. But I want to hear from the rest of you, how you feel about this.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Doug. Yeah.
If I may, I agree wholeheartedly with you is that we should roll back to the changes that we started with, and it makes sense that based on the complaints that we've had with cultivation sites that are over tier 1, that we should, especially in neighborhood areas, that it makes sense that we go back to square one and think about where we're putting these things, and just what kind of footprint we're putting them in, and going back to square one does that.
There's one wrinkle in this that maybe I should, I don't have it right in front of me, but remember there was an ANR, an approval not required, proposed and then approved by the planning board. My initial understanding of that was that unless we snuck something in within a week, that would lock in the zoning that existed before the ANR. It's been brought to my attention that it's not so simple, and that there's case law that, and I'm not going to summarize this right, but there was a developer in Acton who wanted to build 500 or so houses on some property and got approval. Then the Acton Planning Board made some restrictions in terms of setbacks and so forth that reduced the number of house units that developer would be able to put in to 200 plus. And the developer sued, and the judge found in favor of Acton because the language of the ANR, it's kind of hard to sort through, but it says you can't change the use of that land. In that case, it was residential units. In this case, it's farming. You can't stop the use of that, but you can make reasonable limits on what's done on that property. So it would seem that the council is within its rights to change the number of square feet allowed on this property, as long as we haven't changed the use, that we haven't changed that it's farming land. Is that clear? It's complicated, and I don't have an electronic version of the language. I could go run and read it to you if you want. I've got Councillor Forgy has her hand up. I'm going to make, and so does Councillor Disorder. I'm going to start with Councillor Forgy because she's involved in this. Go ahead.
Thank you. I was going to ask that before the discussion ended that I be allowed to speak, if that is okay with members of your EDC.
Anybody object to that? Okay, let's wait then before let's do some discussion first. Ginny, you had your hands up.
Well, in the end, I certainly approve of Councilor Forgy being able to speak in our meeting. I liked your analogy, Councilor Elmer, about opening the door and having somebody drive the truck through. And I think there were a lot of things that we didn't know about outdoor grow. So this is a chance for us to make right something that was not going to be right for that neighborhood. I also just wanted to say to the citizens that are listening that I applaud the citizen activists in that neighborhood who did a marvelous job gathering together, gathering their neighbors, getting the signatures. They did their homework. They reached out to everybody that they could think of, and that just to say to you, we're listening. This was a tough one and we want to fix it as best as we can. So I'm in favor of that. And I'm in favor of hearing from Councilor Forgy in the end. Thank you.
Councilor Healy, did you have your hand up?
All I was going to say was the short answer is you can't prohibit the use, but you can restrict it. So that's what we're looking to do. And I agree fully with it. I think it's the wrong place for a large application. I think outdoor grow needs to be restricted. And I think we're on the right path here.
Yes, Counselor Bullock.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo, I'm in agreement. If this is the pathway we have to reducing, when I also really appreciated all the residents. I got driven around by a few of them over there, and was shocked. And I actually spoke to a couple folks who grow outdoor and indoor marijuana in Maine, to just find out what their views were on this. And they were actually shocked that such a big outdoor grow was allowed within city limits. So, yeah, I just really appreciate all the time and all the emails that everyone has sent, and all the council for doing the hard work to get the information up and running. And I'm in support of restricting.
Okay, before we get to you, Chris, I talked to the city clerk about this, and she said that this proposal, if approved by the city council, by the full council tomorrow, would start, it's a zoning change, and would start the clock, and we'd have to have a public hearing, a joint public hearing with the planning board like we did before. And so it's not going to happen right away. In case you hoped it was all going to be over tomorrow. Also, maybe Councilor Forgy, you could deal with this. There's the limitation of a maximum of 15 acres on a property. That's new, and maybe you could explain the justification for that.
Okay. A couple of things I'd like to say first, if I may.
Sure.
We have to go back as a council to when the Tier 11 paperwork was brought forward to us. I think that everybody at the time saw it as an opportunity to be a friendly community and welcoming for the marijuana industry. However, at the time that the council was given the documentation and everything else, as you mentioned, Councillor Elmer, it just opened up this huge door. It never ceases to amaze me sometimes that, you know, if a good thing happens and then somebody takes advantage of it, and then we create this monster problem. I think if we had been aware of the ultimate plans for this use of property at the time that we were asked to change everything out to a Tier 11, I don't think it would have gone very well. We have one Tier 11 right now in Greenfield, and this proposal to me is outrageous. And the abutters to the property and the neighbors in this North End community in Greenfield deserve to be listened to, and they also deserve to participate in how adjustments will be made so that they can get what they need from their government. And again, there's a lot of activism, as Councilor DeSorga said, going on behind the scenes, and a lot of hard work on the part of a lot of people. The thing that that is confusing to me right now, and that is that the comment that you just made, Councilor Elmer, that I am not seeing that we are withdrawing the petitioner's petition. I know we have a legal opinion that basically says that the city councilor, or the city attorney, basically said that this did not qualify as a citizen's petition under 7.7. Under 7.6, they're arguing that it's been accepted, but the language was not clear. So therefore, the language needs to be clarified, which is something we're doing this evening. And then we are told that because the language is being clarified, it has to go into another round of special meetings or public hearings. I know we have a legal opinion, and I understand, you know, the ramifications of all of this, but It is my opinion that this is a true citizens' endeavor. These are not folks that came forward looking for somebody to write zoning language for them. They are by no means experts in any of this. They only know what's right for their neighborhood. And I would make a case, if I could, on the concept in the Charter of 7.6, which deals with citizen petitions, that there needs to be, in my opinion, some mitigating tolerance to the fact that these are citizens. They don't work in governmental departments. Again, they don't write zoning law. They went on a grassroots basis and came to us as city council to get a voice because they felt like their voice was not being heard on the administrative side of government. So having said all that, I'm unclear at this point what the outcome will be from this vote and also when the vote goes on to council floor. But I do want to urge everybody to stand with me and others in accepting the language of this petition. It will give a great deal of relief, and it will show that Greenfield can take part in its own destiny and that people's voices matter. Now, about the 15 tier, the 15,000 square foot, 5,000 tier ones times 3, that's basically the outside margin of everything. It just carries through with the original language. I hope that makes it clear for everyone. I'm urging you all to support this. And whatever path happens, whatever happens next, we need to continue to support this. We need to be able to set the requirements for zoning in this community based on our values. And obviously, the values here are to have neighborhoods that are friendly to all. And we need not put money-making endeavors in place of citizen rights.
Thank you, Chris. Any other comments? Yeah, go ahead, Ginny.
I agree with Councilor Forgy on the timing part of this, that we had a public hearing. I would beg to differ with, I'm not a lawyer, but I beg to differ with the clerk on that because we had a public hearing, and to me, we're bringing forward something that had a similarity or part of it. So whatever, I urge everybody to vote in favor of it. We can have that discussion tomorrow night, but I actually, in my heart of hearts, I thought because we'd already had that, that we could bring that language forward, just changing the tier limits. So it's not far afield.
Okay, I'm game. Any other comments, or should we put it to a vote? Seeing none, I think we can just do a voice vote here. All in favor of the language put forward by Councilor Disorder, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, we'll forward that to the council tomorrow with a positive endorsement. Okay, moving on to the next item for discussion, the Lunt property audit. I'm assuming that everybody has looked at it, if not read it all the way through. Basically, we had a hearing, a couple of hearings with Reefer Pellegrino. I always get his name wrong. And he told us that he thought he'd done everything he needed to do, but if the Department of Environmental Protection told him he had to do something else, he would do it. So basically, this report that came back, they audited the work there, found several problems, and sent it back to the city and gave them a certain number of days to clean it up. And the mayor, I gather, has said in a letter to somebody that she intends to do that, and that it'll be the job of Pellegrino's company to do it. It's I don't really know how they do it, but I'm not an engineer and it's not my problem. But Councilor DeSorger, you pushed this through. You insisted on it. You thought you smelled a rat, and you did. I'd love to hear your take on this.
Thank you, Councilor Elmer. Well, I'm not happy that the contamination is still there, but I'm glad that they saw what we saw on reading the reports. I want to say thank you to the Board of Health. I listened to their meeting, and they were great, saying that going forward, they were going to partner and make sure that this was looked at well. I do have concerns, however, because I want to correct the record for one thing. This is not, it is normal that we audit some sites. It is not normal that after 10 years, the work is not done. I actually wrote to John Ziegler last night, who is the Mass DEP person that we were in touch with. 2/3 of them, even the level 3 audits come through and the contamination is remediated. It's not done here and it needs to be done. And I do have concerns about going forward with the same LSP. We had at one of our, I think, PIP meetings or one meeting that we had another LSP who is familiar with this site, and where an individual was working on it and did not delineate the site properly, did not manage the contamination, wasn't looking at the preferential pathways, which, you know, I'm not a geologist, but they are things that are well known to be that the contaminants are traveling along the electrical, etc. Those vibration pathways. I just don't have confidence in that, and I think that we should be urging the executive for a different LSP. And I'd like to also on this thank all of the people that participated, making sure that this happened.
Doug.
I would echo what Councilor DeSorga said. Is I am really not comfortable and have never been comfortable with dealing with the LSP that we're working with. He comes off as not very knowing or very at the very least unprofessional in his presentation, not fully giving us all the facts that we need going forward, and I just don't have a level of trust in him to going forward. So I would endorse getting a new LSP, despite what the mayor has said, that you know, we would have to put out a new RFP for a new LSP, and but I endorse getting that done, because the level of comfort I feel with the current one is alarming.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Councilor Forgy, can you hear me? Can I ask you to mute your computer? We're hearing your dishwashing.
I'm so sorry. I thought I had. I beg your pardon. Sorry.
There's a button on the bottom left. There you go. Thank you very much. Okay, Doug, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Are you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished. I'm sorry. Did you hear me through the dishes?
Yes, you did. I heard you loud and clear.
Okay.
Any other comments? Yes, Counselor Healy.
I have to mirror what the two previous counselors said. I agree. I think not only the council, but the people in general that are involved in that area of the community that have been affected by this have lost faith in the current LSP, right? So I do this for a living. I've worked with tons of environmental site cleanups, and it's not hard to pick up where you left off. It's the paper trail is there. You know, it's maybe a couple days of digging into the paperwork for these people, but they do it for a living, and they'll be able to pick up right where we left off, look at the audit, and pick up any things that need action and go from there. But I, you know, it'd be hard to swallow using the same LSP if the people already don't like the work that they were received. So I have to agree. I think we should be looking for another LSP.
Okay, of course, that's a decision that the mayor makes, but we can advise. For what it's worth, OTO, my wife, who's an architect, says she's worked with them a lot. That it's a reputable firm, that she can't speak to the particular representative who handled this case.
I agree with that. I've worked with them in the past. They've always been good for me, but unfortunately on this project, it didn't happen and people have lost confidence.
Yeah, as I say, I don't know how they rectify it, but the ball's in the mayor's court now, and she's got a time deadline. Okay, I don't think we have to vote on anything here. Councillor Bullock.
I just wanted to say in the same vein as with the marijuana cultivation site, there was a number of citizens who I think without them it wouldn't have gotten this far, who were sometimes like literally called crazy in meetings for asking for this cleanup to be done. And so I just want to say that I really appreciate all the work that neighbors in the Lunt area have done to get this to where it is today, because I was on those meetings and they weren't easy meetings. So thank you.
Okay, good. Any other further discussion on the Lunt property? Okay, that's
I have
our.
one further
Yes.
comment.
Go ahead.
There is, in the actual audit, it calls the city responsible for this. And where we are working in conjunction with 401 Liberty, but they are actually paying the bills and overseeing OTO. So I do feel like there's a conflict of interest there. They can hire whoever they want, but there can be legal ramifications for this. We should be hiring, in my opinion, our own person, independent of 401 Liberty. That's all.
Yeah, and you told the mayor that, as I remember.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. You know that we live in a strong mayor's government. We're limited in what we can get the mayor to do. Okay, that's the end of the discussion items. Is there any new business? Seeing none. Any old business? Well, we may be able to get this over in record time, which is surprising considering the issues that we're dealing with here. We have another joint meeting coming up, a joint public hearing with the planning board on Thursday, June 23rd at 6 p.m. It says via WebEx here, but I believe that's wrong. I believe it'll be via Zoom. This does not have to do with marijuana or Lunt. It has to do with the sign ordinance that we already had one public hearing on, but they heard, I think it was actually Ginny's objection to outdoor electronic signage, and they've put some restrictions on that. And so we have to have a public hearing about it. So that's what's going to happen on June 23rd. Until then, have a good summer. I would accept a motion for adjournment.
Make that motion.
Thank you. Any second?
Second.
I'll second.
Terrific. Okay, thank you all. And thanks everybody who turned up, and thanks for all your hard work. Doug, I think you're the one you're gonna have to end this because I think you're the host. So you can stop the recording, or you can, why don't we wait till everybody leaves and then you stop the recording? How's that?
Pardon
gonna-
me, point of order, Counselor Elmer, I think we need to vote to adjourn. I'm sorry.
Oh,
to-
you're right.
I'm
Absolutely.
sorry to bring that up, but I think we should do that.
Yes. Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor for adjournment. All in favor, say aye.
I
Aye. Okay. Any objections?
also, Phil,
Yep.
I'm no longer the host, so I can't stop the recording at this time.
Okay. Let's.
I can do
Let's,
it. I gotcha.
Okay. Good. I think that's what happened. Is the president became the host.
Thanks.
Okay. Then we're going to leave one by one, and then you'll stop the recording. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you, everybody.
Bye bye.